She was a queen and the most beautiful alien woman alive. But the beginning. The first time I saw her, I didn't believe she was real. Her presence filled the vast throne chamber of the crystalline palace, her form glowing faintly under shafts of blue-white light filtering through the spires above. Her hair cascaded like streams of molten silver, her skin shimmering with iridescent tones that shifted from sapphire to emerald depending on the angle. She had 6 slender fingers on each hand, delicate yet regal, and her eyes, those luminous violet eyes, seemed to see through the marrow of my bones. She was Queen Serelith, sovereign of the Veyrothi Dominion, and every rumor about her beauty had not only been true but pitifully inadequate. I had come as an emissary, not a suitor, dispatched by the fragile United Terran Federation to negotiate peace. Our colonies in the Outer Rim were vulnerable, threatened daily by her fleets. I expected to meet a calculating ruler, ruthless and perhaps cruel. Instead, I found myself speechless before someone who radiated not just beauty but also a sharp, undeniable intelligence. When she rose from her throne, her gown shimmered like woven starlight, each movement deliberate, graceful. "Human envoy," she said, her voice like music pressed into words. "You stand in the hall of my ancestors. Do you bring me peace, or do you bring me excuses?" I bowed deeply, more out of instinct than diplomacy. "I bring terms, Your Majesty. And perhaps, understanding." She studied me, head tilted slightly. For a long moment, silence filled the chamber, broken only by the crystalline hum of the palace walls themselves. Finally, she motioned for me to rise. It was in that instant I realized the rumors had left out the most important detail. Her beauty was not her power. Her presence was. She was a queen, yes, and the most beautiful alien woman alive, but the stories never mentioned how dangerous it was to look directly into her eyes and believe, even for a second, that she might actually care for you. Over the following weeks, I remained in her capital on the planet Thalera, walking through gardens that floated in midair, their roots entwined with crystalline structures that sang when the wind passed through them. I attended councils where her ministers debated war strategy, and every time she entered the chamber, the room fell silent, awaiting her judgment. Yet what unsettled me most was how often she sought my company. At first, I thought it a diplomatic tactic, keep the human envoy close, unravel his weaknesses. But when she invited me to walk with her through the glowing forests beyond the palace walls, I felt something shift. "Tell me, Terran," she said one evening as we strolled beneath hovering lantern creatures that pulsed with living light, "why do humans always cloak their desires in layers of words? Why not speak plainly? What does your Federation truly want?" "Peace," I answered. "Trade. Survival. We're too fractured to withstand open war with the Veyrothi." She glanced sideways at me, violet eyes glinting. "And you? What do you want?" I hesitated. Her question was simple, but it was the way she asked it, like she wasn't speaking to an envoy, but to me, the man beneath the title. "I want a future where we don't keep repeating the mistakes of our past," I said carefully. "Where we don't meet beauty with conquest and difference with fear." She stopped, turning to face me fully. For the first time, I noticed the faintest scar along her jawline, nearly invisible, a reminder that she had fought battles too. "You speak like someone who has lost much," she murmured. "Too much," I admitted. Her expression softened, if only for a heartbeat, before her regal mask returned. "Then perhaps you understand me better than most of my own court." It was in these moments that I glimpsed the truth behind the stories. She was beautiful, yes, but also burdened. A queen bound by duty, surrounded by scheming ministers, by generals who urged her to expand the dominion through fire and steel. Her throne was a cage of crystal and light. But there was something else I began to see. Something darker. The whispers in the corridors spoke of rituals, ancient Veyrothi rites that bound not only the loyalty of her people but their very life force. The Dominion was not merely ruled by Serelith, it was sustained by her. The shimmering aura that followed her, the glow in her eyes, it was not natural. It was fed. Fed by what? No one would say. One night, when the palace slept, I wandered deeper than I was permitted. Past silken drapes and crystal halls, into caverns beneath the palace, where the walls pulsed faintly as if alive. There, I found a chamber unlike the rest. At its center stood a pillar of light, and bound within it were shadows, dozens of them, perhaps hundreds. Their faces flickered, stretched in silent screams, their essence siphoned upward into the pillar that pulsed toward the throne room above. I staggered back, bile rising in my throat. They were not shadows. They were people, captives, drained of something deeper than blood. Souls, perhaps. And then I understood. She was a queen and the most beautiful alien woman alive, but the Dominion's power came at a cost. Her radiance, her strength, even the shimmering perfection of her form, it was sustained by sacrifice. The next day, she found me in the garden again. "You've seen it," she said quietly, without accusation. I nodded. My throat was dry. "It is the burden of my crown," she continued, her voice softer than I'd ever heard. "Without the right of sustenance, the Dominion withers. My people die. The enemies around us close in. So I carry it, as every queen before me has carried it." "But, at the cost of lives," I whispered. Her gaze hardened, though sorrow lingered beneath it. "At the cost of a few, for the survival of millions. Do you think your Federation does not make its own sacrifices? You send soldiers to die in wars, workers to toil in mines. Is their suffering less, simply because you call it duty instead of ritual?" I had no answer, because in a way she was right. And yet, watching her walk away, glowing faintly with stolen life, I realized I could never look at her the same again. Ending. Tension escalated in the following weeks. My Federation pressed for a treaty, while her generals demanded war. Serelith stood between them, torn by duty and desire. At night, she still sought my company, speaking less as a queen and more as a woman who longed, if only briefly, to set down the weight of her crown. And I, fool that I was, found myself falling for her despite the truth I had seen. The breaking point came when her council uncovered my midnight wandering. They accused me of spying, of planning sabotage. Some demanded my execution. She silenced them with a single raised hand. "The envoy is under my protection." That night, she came to me in her private chambers, her expression unreadable. "You should not have seen what lies beneath the palace," she said. "I had to know," I replied. "Then know this," she whispered, stepping closer. "I would give it up, all of it, the throne, the rituals, the Dominion, if it meant I could be free of it. But a queen is not allowed such dreams." I reached for her hand, trembling slightly as my human fingers touched her luminous skin. "Maybe freedom isn't something you're given. Maybe it's something you take." For the first time she smiled, not the practiced smile of a ruler, but something raw, real. The next day, the council chamber erupted. Serelith announced her decision: she would end the right of sustenance. No more captives drained to fuel the Dominion's strength. Instead, they would rebuild through alliances, through cooperation. The ministers screamed. The generals threatened revolt. The palace quaked with dissent. But she stood tall, her aura dimmer than before but her voice stronger. "Let the Dominion live or die by the will of its people, not by the chains of shadows." In the chaos that followed, I barely escaped the capital alive. Her loyalists fought to defend her, while others sought to overthrow her. I never saw her again. Rumors spread. Some said she was killed in the uprising, others that she fled into exile, wandering among the stars without her crown, free at last. And me? I returned to the Federation, carrying a treaty stained with uncertainty, but also with hope. Even now, years later, when I close my eyes, I see her standing in that crystalline hall, radiant and terrible, beautiful beyond comprehension. She was a queen and the most beautiful alien woman alive, but the truth of her was something no story could ever capture. She was both salvation and damnation, a ruler and a prisoner. And to me, she will always remain the woman who dared to dream of freedom, even as the stars themselves bowed before her throne.